and you're going to be with a realistic chance to get into the SEC championship game, to win it, to get into the playoff, and maybe even win the national championship. You're going to be in that discussion.
Hey everyone, welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm David. I got Jackson and Nick with me. All right, we're going to get to the football talk here in a second. Nick, did you watch Yellowstone?
Yeah, of course. You mean like did a new episode come out, or just like in general?
Yesterday, the new episode.
No,
I know.
I'm not watching it. No, they've been gone too long. The show's been going the wrong direction. Not watching it. Sorry.
You didn't watch it, really?
No.
Huh. Well, I think the show's still great. I don't like Governor Dutton, but whatever. We can talk about that some other time. Jackson told me he's never watched the show, but your dad watches it. So I'm going to give you a homework assignment. Okay. At some point, I want you to give a couple of episodes a chance. Report back if you like it or dislike it.
Like the first three seasons are worth it. Yeah. He doesn't have his headphones in.
Really good. All right. I'm not going to comment on my opinion on last night's episode because I think it's too fresh, and I don't know if people have watched it, so we'll talk about that down the line. All right. So now that you know to do that, favorite part of the show today?
I liked all of the show.
All of it? That's
all of it.
Yeah, you're very respectful.
Nick, I can't just pick one favorite.
I can't. I can certainly pick my parts. My parts were really good today. I'm kidding. Actually, Nick, I don't know if you feel this way. When you have a bye week or some time off of a show, I needed the time off, but I don't feel as sharp when I come back. Do you feel that way when you get a little bit off?
I totally understand that, 100%.
Like my timing's off, like my recall, I don't know,
I thought you did good today. It was a good show.
That's kind of you. So
but you did better than you did hunting, shooting at birds. The show was better.
I thought I did quite well. There was 3 birds, I shot 1. That's 33%. That's good. For a guy who's never shot, that's fantastic. Right? I'd be in the Hall of Fame if it was baseball. Nick, what was your favorite part of the show?
Probably you and Billy's discussion on what in the freaking world is going to happen with the SEC in the playoffs, because it's crazy that we're like 3 weeks away from the end of the regular season. We still have no earthly idea. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was good. We had Jackie Sherrill on the program. We also had, who else did we have? Oh, Tom Hart. That and more. It's the Rewind. Check it.
I think most of them are. I feel pretty good about Amari Daniels, even though he's replacing what I think is the best offensive player on the team. But, I think you're fine with Amari. I worry about when Amari has to, take a break. I think your defense is better than they showed at South Carolina. And I think maybe the whole reboot, recalibrating your attitude and your frame of mind to be more physical. And I'm sure that's something they've probably, I would imagine, focused on in this open week. And then you got a glorified practice. Coaches won't say that, but we can against New Mexico State to hone in on it and just prove you're going to be more physical. And you have to be the rest of the year.
You're going to have to be, no doubt about that. So let's revisit where we are with A&M. 7-2. They do control their destiny. Mm-hmm. If you win every game in front of you,
you're going to be in the SEC championship game.
How rare is it for A&M to be in a position that if you win every game in front of you in November, right, starting from right now, November the 11th, right? The 11th? Yep. That you'll be a national champion. Like, I know that's a long way to go, but that is where you are today, November the 11th.
Right. You will be in 10 games in, and you'll be in that position, 10 games in. So it'll be late November. Quite frankly, I believe you're going to be in that position on that last game of the year, last against Texas. But as we talk about it today, it doesn't seem that big of an accomplishment because your expectations change. But again, had we in August said before the Notre Dame game said, "Hey, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to get into mid-November, and you're going to be with a realistic chance to get into the SEC championship game, to win it, to get into the playoff, and maybe even win the national championship. You're going to be in that discussion."
With a week to kind of digest, where are you with the Ags?
Well, certainly that game kind of jumped out at you that either exposed some things that we need to improve, or they proved that we're not the players or the team that we're supposed to be. But we're still in a great position. Losing Moss was a great loss. And you go, and very rarely does a team have two great running backs that you lose and try to, make up for. But right now, A&M sits in a good position because, they have the New Mexico State game that they can play some younger players and maybe shore up or correct some things. Then, you're off to Auburn. And right now, you'd have to pick A&M to beat Auburn. And if that happens, then you're playing Texas to see who goes to the Southwest Conference Championship. And so there's a lot to play for. There's a lot for the Aggies to be excited about. We just have to go out and perform.
Yeah, Coach. So I don't know that you had many teams that had a clunker like A&M had at South Carolina and then followed up with an open date. But what do you think? How do you approach it if you were in that situation? Do you just kind of flush that game, say, we're better than that, let's just focus on what we do better? Or do you really put a coach harder on defense? Or, how do you approach it in an open week in a situation like that?
Well, your open weekend should be focused on two things. One, to get better, make corrections, improve on what you're doing correctly, and eliminate what you're not doing good.
Tom, let's talk a little bit about Texas, because I find them to be one of the harder teams to analyze, not because of my disdain for the program, but just in general. They have the talent. They got the hype coming into the season. I still don't think they've played anybody. And the teams that they've played, they've taken care of business. That's true, other than Georgia. But they're taking on quarterbacks who are making their first ever start like 3 or 4 times this year. When you break down Texas, I think they are obviously one of the top 5-10 teams in the country for sure. But I also don't know how they match up with other top 5-10 teams in the country.
I think they match up well. I think Georgia outcoached them that night, and they out-executed them. And they drew up all these different pressures that Texas just couldn't get figured out quickly enough. Listen, everybody outside of Oregon, right? I mean, you could throw a couple other contenders in there, but everybody's had a night like that. Like, everybody's had a college football Saturday where the great teams have taken a loss. You could throw Army into that discussion, BYU, whatever. But the point is that Texas is built well to execute all of this, and they had a bad game against Georgia, and so I think that everybody's got a blemish on their record. So I'm going to use a phrase that Aggies don't want to hear, but I'm going to use it in the sense that, why not Texas, right? If everybody has a blemish, then what makes Texas's any worse than anybody else's? They had all the talk about quarterback play for a reason, and they've got 2 guys that they can put out there and win games. The offensive line is great. Defensive line is great. Yeah, I mean, I just think they're well built from a depth standpoint throughout that entire roster. And if you were to give out odds right now, as you picture a 12-team playoff, whether they end up getting a first-round bye or not, I think their stock would look pretty good amongst the best teams in the country. I mean, because I'm thinking about what Ohio State looks like, what Indiana looks like, what Oregon looks like. You're going to would you give the Big 12 champ an edge against Texas? I don't think so. Yeah, you're in that discussion. You're one of 4 teams, 5 teams that have a chance to win a national championship, even though we haven't seen how this 12-team bracket plays out and the kind of stress that puts on programs having played all year. And I'll leave you with one more about Sark. One of the things we discussed was this college football season now feels like an NFL season. Not only do you have the double byes in the season, but if you're still playing for a national championship, you're butting up against Valentine's Day. That's unheard of, right?
It's dark, like what you're seeing. It's like your Batman movies. So maybe that adds to it. Like I'm interested, yeah. Yeah, it's it's like you go into a movie and watch Batman, and the whole thing is dark the whole movie, and you're like,
I can't really see it.
Yeah, so, and then even it's not as, I don't feel like it's as well lit as some stadiums, and then the sound system, to me, isn't as clean and crisp as it is here at Kyle. Now, those are my complaints, because I think it's top tier.
Yep.
And so my debate is, where do I have it versus Tennessee, versus Kyle Field, versus Tuscaloosa. Those are some of my favorites. Throw A&M out of it. I think Kyle Field, the difference is, I'm telling you guys, this is the difference. LSU's 10 out of 10. Kyle Field's 10 out of 10. Knoxville's 10 out of 10. Neyland Stadium, somebody I said on Feinbaum Knoxville, and they said that was the only one I didn't give credit to. Neyland Stadium's my favorite, actually. Neyland, Tuscaloosa, Williams-Brice. That's a great point to make.
Yeah.
Because you saw that. That is, when they're up, that's as tough. Not even when they're up, but for a given game, that's as tough as there is. It's 10 out of 10. But game in, game out, year in, year out, who are the best? It's like Tuscaloosa, Death Valley. Remember when we used to say it was the Swamp? Well, that's because they were winning.
They were winning, yeah.
LSU's won 3 national titles in 25 years, whatever it is. I know they've had some, not down, maybe they've had 1 or 2 down years, but they've had a lot of 3, 4 loss, where it just hasn't been, they haven't done much. But when you mix in 3 national titles, and you mix in how many times they go into the second half of the year as a title contender in the SEC, that atmosphere is what it is because LSU football has been great. But the difference in what sets apart like an LSU and an A&M both, I've been to Baton Rouge when they sucked. I went as a student when they had Jerry DiNardo and they were no good. And if you go play LSU at night, like A&M did when Leland McElroy ran for 2 late touchdowns, that place is intense. So I think the atmosphere is, again, 10 out of 10. I was just commenting on just visibly how, dark the whole surroundings are.
Mr. Oxney, tell the people what to do,
You guys
please.
are going to make me try and be all excited.
Okay.
I'm going to do my absolute best.
You're doing
today.
it right now. You're
I
not
know,
even
I'm
trying.
I know, because I'm trying to get myself I just heard a really funny joke and I'm really happy and I'm really laughing. So, hey guys, you guys are going to want to like, comment, and subscribe and tell your friends if you enjoyed, which I'm sure you did because this show is amazing.
That was actually really good. It was not forced. That's what I liked about it. Not forced. Happy guy. I'm happy you guys are watching. We'll see you next time.